Perfection is a double-edged sword. We polish our children to become diamonds. But we forget a crucial fact. Diamonds are incredibly hard, but they can also shatter.
911, do you need police, fire, or ambulance?
Police, help me please. Someone broke in, they shot my parents. I'm tied upstairs.
November 8th, 2010. Markham, Canada. Police arrive at a $1 million mansion to find a scene from hell. The mother, bitch Hoppan, is dead on the basement floor. The father, Hanpan, is shot in the face, barely clinging to life. And at the top of the stairs is their only daughter, Jennifer Pan, tied to the banister. The sole survivor of a brutal home invasion. But pause for a moment. There was one small detail, a detail the police almost missed in the chaos. If Jennifer was truly tied with her hands behind her back to the banister by armed intruders, then how exactly did she manage to pull out her cell phone and dial 911? The answer to that question unlocks one of the darkest family tragedies of the decade. To understand the monster, we must first understand the pressure cooker that created her. Han and Bish Ha Pan were not tyrants. They were survivors. They fled Vietnam as refugees, escaping a war-torn country with nothing but the clothes on their backs. They came to Canada seeking safety, and through sheer back-breaking labor, they built a kingdom. They worked at an auto parts factory, saving every penny. They bought a large house with a 2-car garage. They drove a Mercedes. They achieved the impossible. But there is a shadow side to the immigrant dream. When you sacrifice everything for your children, you expect your children to justify that sacrifice. For Jennifer and her brother Felix, the rule was absolute. We suffered so you could succeed. Therefore, you must be perfect. Jennifer was the golden child, the chosen one. By the age of 4, she was enrolled in piano lessons. Then came figure skating. The goal wasn't just to participate. The goal was the Olympics. Every day was a schedule of military precision. School. Skating until 10 p.m., homework until midnight. Sleep. Repeat. She was forbidden from attending school dances. Forbidden from dating. Forbidden from going to parties. Her parents believed these were distractions. For a while it worked. She was a straight-A student. She was a competitive skater. She was the trophy her parents wanted to display to the world. But human beings are not machines. You cannot run an engine at 100% capacity forever without something breaking. In the 8th grade, the crack appeared. Jennifer received a report card. In a sea of A's, there was a single mark, a grade B. To most parents, a B is fine. To Hanpan, it was a failure. It was a sign of laziness. It was an insult to his sacrifice. Jennifer was terrified. She knew the lecture that was coming. She knew the look of disappointment that would crush her soul. So, she made a choice. A choice that would define the rest of her life. She took a razor blade. She gently scraped the top layer of paper off the report card, erasing the B. She drew in an A. Then she ran it through a photocopier to hide the tamper marks. When she handed it to her father, he didn't scream. He smiled. He was proud. In that moment, Jennifer learned a dangerous lesson. The truth doesn't matter. Only the appearance of perfection matters. If she couldn't be the perfect daughter, she would simply pretend to be one. By high school, Jennifer was living a schizophrenic existence. To her parents, she was the virgin saint. To her friends, she was a normal, fun-loving teenager who forged permission slips and skipped classes. But the biggest secret had a name. Daniel Wong. He was the bad boy. He dealt weed. He had a criminal record. He was everything Hanpan hated. And naturally, Jennifer fell madly in love with him. He was her escape. With him, she didn't have to be the golden child. But as her focus shifted to Daniel, her grades collapsed. She failed calculus. She didn't have the credits to graduate high school. Ryerson University revoked her early acceptance letter. She had failed. The one thing she was never allowed to do. Most children, when they fail, eventually confess. They take the punishment. Jennifer Pan decided to double down. She told her parents she had graduated. She told them she was starting at Ryerson University in the fall, and thus began one of the most elaborate charades in criminal history. For 4 years, Jennifer Pan pretended to go to college. Every single morning, she woke up early. She packed her bag with textbooks she had bought herself. She ate breakfast with her parents. She waved goodbye. She would take the bus to the public library. She would sit there for hours, watching Netflix, writing in fake notebooks, or scrolling through social media. She got a job as a waitress and a piano teacher to earn money. But she told her parents the money was a scholarship. She even forged a letter claiming she had won a $3,000 grant. Her father was so proud, he wanted to frame it. Think about the level of anxiety. Every phone call, every piece of mail, every question about how was class today was a landmine that could blow up her life. It didn't stop at Ryerson. After 2 years, she told them she was transferring to the prestigious University of Toronto for a pharmacology program. Why pharmacology? Because her father wanted her to be a pharmacist. It was his dream, so she made it her lie. She studied the bus routes to the U of T campus. She bought U of T hoodies. She bought used pharmacology textbooks and highlighted random pages to make them look read. She constructed a reality so detailed, so perfect, that her parents had no reason to doubt her. Until graduation day. Graduation is the finish line. It is the moment parents wait a lifetime for. When the time came for the ceremony, Han and Bish were excited. They wanted to see their daughter walk across the stage. They wanted to take pictures. Jennifer panicked. She couldn't hire actors to play a dean. She couldn't rent a stadium. So she told a lie that was cruel in its simplicity. She told them that due to a ticketing error, there were not enough seats. She told her own parents they were not allowed to come to her graduation. It broke their hearts, but they believed her. But suspicion is a slow-acting poison. Pan started to wonder. Why no tickets? Why no photos? Why does she never talk about her classmates? The golden child's armor was beginning to crack, and the monster underneath was starting to breathe. A lie is like a debt. Eventually, the collector comes knocking. For Jennifer, the collector arrived in the form of a suspicion her father couldn't shake. She had told her parents she was volunteering at Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. It was part of her pharmacology charade. But Pan noticed something. Her uniform didn't have an ID badge. Her stories about the hospital were vague, so he did what any suspicious father would do. He demanded she take him to the hospital. He wanted to see her work. He wanted to see the life she claimed she was living. Jennifer panicked. She stalled, but she couldn't stall forever. One morning, instead of going to work, Han followed her. He watched his daughter leave the house, get into her car, and drive nowhere. She didn't go to the hospital. She didn't go to a university campus. She went to a friend's house and sat there. Han called the friend's parents, and in one phone call, the dam broke. Jennifer doesn't go to University of Toronto. She never did. 10 years of deception evaporated in 10 seconds. When she came home that night, she didn't walk into a house. She walked into a courtroom. Han and Bish demanded the truth. And for the first time in her life, Jennifer Pan had no exit strategy. She confessed. No degree, no scholarship, no pharmacy job. She was a dropout who worked at a pizza place and taught piano. Masham Hanpan. He had bragged to his relatives. He had boasted to his coworkers about his pharmacist daughter. Now he was the father of a liar. His reaction was nuclear. He gave her an ultimatum. You have two choices. You go back to school and do it right, or you get out of this house and never come back. But she couldn't leave. She had no money. She had no skills. She was 24, but in the real world, she was a child, so she stayed. And the house became a prison. They took her phone. They took her laptop. at 24 years old, an age where most people are starting careers and traveling the world. Jennifer was grounded like a rebellious teenager. Her father tracked the odometer on her car. She was only allowed to drive to her piano teaching gigs and back. Any extra kilometer had to be accounted for. She had to study in her room with the door open. Her mother checked on her randomly. But the worst punishment? They forbade her from seeing Daniel Wong. They blamed him for her corruption. They told her, "If you ever speak to that boy again, you are dead to us." Isolation does strange things to the human mind. When you strip a person of their privacy, their love, and their freedom, you don't make them obedient. You make them dangerous. Jennifer felt she was drowning. She later described her life as living under a magnifying glass, and a rat, when cornered, will chew through anything to escape, even its own flesh, or in this case, its own blood. Like a prisoner smuggling contraband, Jennifer managed to hide a secret cell phone. It was her lifeline to the outside world, specifically to Daniel Wong. But Daniel wasn't waiting for her like a fairy tale prince. He was moving on. He had started seeing another girl. He was tired of Jennifer's drama, her lies, and her controlling parents. This terrified Jennifer more than anything. Daniel was her world. If she lost him, she lost everything. She needed to be with him. She needed money to live with him. She needed freedom. And standing in the way of all three were two people, Han and Bai-Hop-Han. It started as a dark fantasy. I wish they were dead. I wish I could just leave. But via text messages, the fantasy solidified into logistics. Jennifer realized that if her parents died, she wouldn't just be free. She would inherit everything: the house, the life insurance, the savings. Roughly $500,000. Enough to start a new life with Daniel. So Daniel introduced her to a contact, a man named Lenford Crawford, a guy who knew guys. They called it Plan B. The price was set at $10,000, a bargain for 2 human lives. November 8th was chosen. Jennifer spent the day acting normal. She taught piano. She watched TV with her mom. But in her pocket, the burner phone was buzzing. At 10 p.m., she went downstairs to say goodnight. Then, she walked to the front door and unlocked it. She didn't break the lock. She didn't leave it ajar. She simply flipped the deadbolt. It was the silent invitation for the executioners to enter. At 10:05 p.m., the signal had been sent. The door was unlocked. 3 men walked through the front door of the Pan residence: David Melvganum, Lenford Crawford, and Eric Carty. They didn't sneak in like thieves. They stormed in like soldiers. They marched straight upstairs to the master bedroom where Han and Bish were sleeping. Imagine waking up to that. No warning. Just the barrel of a .40 caliber pistol in your face. They shouted, "Where is the money? Give us the money." Han Pan, terrified, pointed to his wallet. It had $60 in it. Yet that this wasn't about $60, and Han was beginning to realize that. This is where the script gets strange. The intruders dragged Han and Bitch out of bed. But when they found Jennifer, the dynamic changed. They didn't drag her. They didn't hit her, while her parents were being marched down to the basement, the execution chamber. One of the gunmen stayed upstairs with Jennifer. He tied her hands to the banister with a shoelace. Later, Jennifer would claim she was terrified. But forensic evidence would later show that her hands were tied loosely. Her phone was tucked into her waistband, easy to reach. She wasn't a hostage. She was a spectator. In the basement, the air was cold. The hitmen covered Han and Bick's heads with blankets. And in those final moments, Bai-Hop-Han, the mother who had pushed her daughter so hard, the tiger mom, did something that breaks the heart. She didn't beg for her own life. She begged for Jennifer's. She pleaded with the gunman, "Please, don't hurt my daughter. Take whatever you want, but don't hurt my daughter. She died trying to protect the very person who had paid for the bullets. 3 shots rang out. Bike Hop Han was shot 3 times. She died instantly. Han Pan was shot twice. 1 bullet struck him in the face near the eye. He collapsed. The hitmen looked at the bodies. They saw blood. They saw stillness. Satisfied with their work, they ran back upstairs, exited through the front door, and vanished into the night. Silence returned to the house. Jennifer waited. Then, she pulled out her phone. The 911 call she made is a masterclass in acting. She screamed. She cried. She told the operator she heard pops like gunshots. She was building her alibi in real time. She was the grieving survivor, the poor girl who lost everything. But she made a miscalculation, a fatal one. The human body is fragile, but the human spirit, it is terrifyingly resilient. In the basement, amidst the pool of blood, a finger moved. Han Pan was not dead. The bullet had entered his face, shattered his cheekbone, but missed his brain. He was conscious. He was in agony, but he was alive. He realized the intruders were gone. And then he heard something from upstairs. He heard his daughter talking. With adrenaline flooding his system, Han Pan crawled. He crawled out of the basement. He crawled towards the light. And when the police kicked down the door moments later, they didn't just find a victim. They found a witness who had seen the killers. A witness who remembered that his daughter didn't scream when the men entered the room. Jennifer Pan's perfect crime had just opened its eyes. 3 days after the shooting, Han Pan woke up from his medically induced coma. He couldn't speak well. His jaw was shattered, but he could write, and he could write. Detectives asked him the most important question. Did your daughter struggle? Han Pan shook his head. No. He wrote down that he saw Jennifer talking to the gunman, not screaming, talking. He said she walked around the house freely while they were tied up. With that testimony, Jennifer Pan ceased to be a victim. She became prime suspect number 1, and her detective Bill Goots, an expert interrogator. He brought Jennifer in for what she thought was a witness interview. But Goots was playing a different game. He watched her body language. When real victims recall trauma, they often freeze up, look away, or get angry. Jennifer? She was theatrical. She sobbed loudly. She rocked back and forth. But there were no tears. Goots let her talk. He let her spin her web. Because the more she spoke, the more ropes she wove for her own hangman's noose. Goots circled back to the impossibility. He asked her to demonstrate how she was tied. Jennifer claimed her hands were tied behind her back to the banister. Then he asked, "So how did you dial the phone?" Jennifer stammered. She claimed she was able to reach into her waistband, pull out the phone, flip it open, and dial, all with her hands secured behind her back to a wooden post. Goots didn't buy it. It was physically impossible. Then he dropped the hammer. He told her, "Jennifer, I know you're lying. I know you were involved." He used a technique called the read technique. He offered her an out. He minimized the crime to get her to admit to something. He said, "I don't think you wanted them dead. I think you just made a mistake. I think you were pushed too far." Jennifer Pan realized the home invasion story was dead. She needed a new lie. So, through fake tears, she gave her second confession. She admitted to hiring the hitman. She admitted to paying the $10,000. But she claimed, "I didn't hire them to kill my parents. I hired them to kill me." She spun a tragic tale of suicide. She claimed she wanted to die but was too scared to do it herself, so she hired a hitman for suicide by proxy. She claimed the hitman got the wrong idea and attacked her parents instead. It was a brilliant, twisted attempt to garner sympathy. But Detective Goots had one final card to play. The police had recovered the data from her phone. The texts to Daniel Wong didn't talk about suicide. They didn't talk about sadness. They talked about money. They talked about freedom. They talked about inheriting the house. There was no suicide contract. It wasn't a hit, plain and simple. On November 22nd, 2010, 2 weeks after the murder, Jennifer Pan was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and attempted murder. The golden child was in handcuffs. The trial began in 2014. It was a spectacle. Jennifer Pan sat in the prisoner's box alongside her ex-boyfriend Daniel Wong and the hitman. Her defense team tried to sell the jury the suicide pact story. They painted her as a victim of abuse, a girl so broken she just wanted to die. But the prosecution had the text messages, they had the location data, and most importantly, they had Han Pan. The father took the stand. He couldn't look at his daughter. He testified about the terror, the shooting, and the lies. The jury deliberated. It didn't take long. On December 13th, 2014, the verdict was read. Guilty. First-degree murder. Attempted murder. Jennifer Pan was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. Daniel Wong received the same sentence. The golden child would spend her prime years in a concrete cell. The bad boy she ruined her life for was now her co-prisoner, separated by walls they could never breach. But the true sentence wasn't handed down by the judge. It was handed down by the father. Han Pan submitted a victim impact statement. He wrote, "When I lost my wife, I lost my life. I don't feel like I am human anymore." He suffers from chronic pain, anxiety, and insomnia. He lives in a house that is now a haunted museum of his past. And for his daughter, he requested a non-communication order. He asked the court to ban Jennifer from ever contacting him or her brother Felix again. He didn't just disown her. In his heart, she died the same night her mother did. This case haunts me, not because of violence, but because of the silence. The silence of a daughter who couldn't say, "I'm struggling." The silence of parents who couldn't say, "I love you," even if you fail. Jennifer Pan is a murderer. There is no excuse for what she did. She chose to kill. But she is also a product of a poisonous belief that love is conditional, that you are only worthy if you are perfect. He leans in close. To the parents watching, love your children for who they are, not what they achieve. And to the children watching, no degree, no trophy, and no expectation is worth your soul. If you are drowning in expectations, break the glass. Swim up. Just don't burn the house down. Until the next file.